can go around if you actually, if you want to go around and say who you are and why you might be tuning in. And yeah, let's start there so we can start our meeting and go around the room. So maybe Chris, if you want to come off mute and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chris Chokti. I'm on the City Planning Commission. I'm also rebooting Walk Bike Perks, an organization that used to be around 15 years ago. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for being here. Then we have Richard. Hi, Richard. Are you just tuning in today? Oh, I can't hear you.
He's an old friend of mine. He used to live in Reading. Yeah. He wants to move back. Long story.
If you want to write in the chat, or we can give you a moment to try and get off mute. We can go over to Bill Murray. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill Murray. I'm the Executive Director, Reading Area Water Authority, and I thought today I'd jump on in case anybody wants an update on a couple of the hot topics that are out there. I can keep people.
Great. That would be awesome. It's good to see you.
Yep.
And then David Osgood.
Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone as always. I'm with the Berks County Conservation District as the watershed coordinator / specialist, and here to listen in and look for ways that the district can contribute to Reading EAC activities, as always.
Great. And then I don't want to go around everybody else, but just so you're aware, Bill, I think you know the city staff. We have Bethany, Scott, and Shelley from the city, and then the rest of us are EAC members. Public comment. Is there any public comment? Shelley?
Sorry, no one has registered to speak.
Thanks. Oh, hi, Richard. You're off mute. Do you want to say hi?
Oh, yeah. I'm just somebody in Lancaster. I don't know what the meeting's about, but Chris invited me.
Cool. Well, we're happy to have you. It's just our Environmental Advisory Council. So we talk about environmental topics in the city of Reading and different decisions council might be making or things the city might be doing. We have different initiatives to make the city more sustainable. And then we have our city staff here who manage sustainability and watershed programs.
Great.
So the approval of the minutes. I don't know if this is appropriate because it's being recorded, but I did not read them. So I feel like I can't vote on them. Just being honest with you. So is there a motion to approve the minutes, or are there any edits?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Anyone opposed? Any discussion? No? Okay. Seems like it's all approved. Thank you. I'll go back and read them. So, oh my gosh, my favorite part, upcoming meetings, events, and staff updates. Bethany, Scott, who wants to go first?
Why don't we have Bill go first, because he's got the most important things to give updates, and then that way if he needs to scoot, we can have him scoot. So we'll let Bill Murray go first.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bethany.
All right, so let's start with the lead and copper update. So RAWA met all of the EPA requirements. The letters went out. Okay. So we honestly got little to no response. We had about 1 inquiry, 2 inquiries about this. But that's not the case across the country. the case across the country and somewhat in the county was, as we anticipated, because we had to use a form that was presented to us with minor adjustments. Of course, it caused some stir, and people outside of the county, I would say more than inside our county, had some concerns over it. And I'll be honest with you, we kind of knew what the people that work every day in the business, we kind of looked at the letter and said exactly what would happen is people think that it's the pipes inside their houses. They're confused. So there will be everybody basically met their goals, and now it's time to actually start doing the work. So as an update from the Rowell side, so we applied for and became accepted into an EPA program called GLOW, Get the Lead Out. So basically, on a daily basis, we now have a free of charge an EPA people, DEP people helping us guide and direct us in our program, which will open up opportunities for once we settle down to figure out how much money we're going to need to to complete the inventory, and then of course to replace any that are out there. So we're working hand in hand with EPA, and not in a normal sense, because everybody says that. They are part of our weekly meetings. They have input. They have helped us already do a couple of major tasks that would have been a lot harder had we not had their help. They've been wonderful, to tell you the truth. So that's going to help us sort of be on the cutting edge of developments, because with the elections, we anticipate there's going to be some changes made. If those of you may not be aware, Pennsylvania chose to implement standards that were in the Michigan state. So Michigan and Pennsylvania have different standards that they've put in place, which are higher and more difficult to reach than the rest of the country. Across the whole state, there's been a move, and quite frankly, there's about 5 of us that have been actively participating with the regulators and also the governor's office to come up with a more sensible way of doing things than had been laid out. And we were able to make a significant change where prior to our involvement and pushing for it, you could not use records to prove a type of material on the side of the service. We're an exception. In Reading, we have records going back to like the 1880s. So we have tremendous records. So what they've done now is they've said, if you have confidence in your records, you can use that to identify certain materials in the process. Let me tell you what that means for us. We had anticipated we were going to probably need $15 million just to complete the inventory based on the rules that we were told we were going to have to live with, which goes to the standards that we've accepted from being part of the Michigan program, as I like to call it, where you have to have 2 sides of proof in order to provide the material, the proof of the materials. In our case, or in most people's cases, that was going to require a soft dig. A soft dig in a suburb means you take a vac truck out, you dig down, you take your vac truck, you make a hole, you see what the material is, you verify it, and you move on. That might take 4 hours, from the time you start to about 2 or 3 guys, maybe a $2,000 venture. But when you go into the city, you're digging through concrete. It's a whole different ballgame. You're looking at $5,000 to $6,000 for a soft dig. And based on the rules, we were anticipating needing about $15 million to do soft digs. So there's just, as with anything, any regulation, you really can't make a regulation that one size fits all. So we're a little different, and we're a big city with complications, but we're not a big city. We're not Philadelphia, we're not Pittsburgh. So we've worked our way through a lot of it. We've had great success. And by allowing us to use the records, we've probably reduced our costs down to a couple of $1 million versus 15. And by doing that, we should be able to then create data which will allow us to use predictive modeling for the rest of the system. And I should point out that we do not have an abundance or even any kind of significant number in any way, shape, or form of what would be a true lead service line, meaning from the main to the curb stop or from the curb stop into the house, pure lead pipes. Yes, we do run into them. For 6 years, we have been replacing anyone that says they have a lead line. We will replace it for them at no cost to them. We've been doing that for 6 years because years ago we found out that we don't have that problem. So if in good effort, we knew that we don't have the problem. So if there's a few, we replace them. And by the way, that includes not just owner occupieds or homeowners. That includes you up to 4 units. So you could actually have a rental property. And if you've got a lead line in there and we can prove it out, we'll come in and replace it for you at no charge. We've replaced in 6 years, 15, maybe. So we know we don't have it. We also tell you that this is not the first lead and copper effort. I think it was 1999. There was a similar effort to create an inventory. And at that time there, we have handwritten letters back and forth from EPA Region 3, where the city engineer was saying, we've been able to, they needed 50 homes with lead to do this study. They were able to find 15. That's it. And they were looking. So and remember, in 99, the city owned the authority. So they had PMI, they had all sorts of resources that I don't have. And they basically proved out that, it's not a problem in this city. So
In fact, I just add to Bill's that in the 80s, when Washington, DC had discovered they had a lot of problems, everybody went out again, and Reading was not on our radar screen as having, it wasn't as thorough, but again, it was doing some sampling, looking around, seeing if there was a problem, and Reading wasn't one of our targets.
right,
Billy
so
was. But Reading was not.
there's a lot in the surrounding areas. It's funny. So when we had a lead and copper committee here for 2 years prior to the actual making of the rule, because we knew it was coming, and I was involved with TAC and the Water Utility Council. They're the groups that represent the authorities, and we have our input into the rulemaking. And that's really what all they do. And so we were involved. We knew it was coming. You see it way ahead of time. And when the very first time that DEP rolled it out as a presentation, this is the new rule, it was out at Penn State. So I said, I have to go to this because, I want to make sure that we're okay. Because we were thinking we're fine. If it's the regulation that they're rolling out, we only have to prove it on one side, on either side. And then they decided it's going to be 2. Well, that changes everything because we knew we had good records to prove out. And then, of course, they said you can't use them either. But we went to the very first one. And in the middle of the presentation, the guy from DEP that's rolling this out, Bill McNamara, is a great guy, too. He is a wonderful person. He says, yeah, like and he says, Reading, Pennsylvania, you have a real severe problem because there was a galvanized line that had lead lining in it. And it was made in Reading. So we know that you're going to have 1 million of them. You're going to be toast. And I'm on the phone texting my plant superintendent, my maintenance guy, and I'm going like, what the hell are they talking about? By the end of the meeting, the product was manufactured in Reading, Massachusetts. So I just want to point out that the direction that was coming our way, and I'll say this right now, it's ever developing because there's, it got too much hype, to be honest with you, for Reading. The rest, and I will tell you right now, I'm a big one. Like, if you know you got lead, get rid of it. But if you want to really think about it, guys, in a city, average city row house, you're going from the main to the curb stop, 15 feet. And you go from the curb stop into the house in a row home, 15 feet. They're all worried about that 30 feet, but once it goes into the home, the whole house has got all sorts of lead fixtures. They might be from the physics. That's where they're getting their lead from. So one of the things that made sense to someone like me was, why don't we test for lead? Go into the house and test for lead. That's not an acceptable, believe it or not, that's not an acceptable means there, which is crazy, because you should accept that there's lead in the test and then figure out where it's coming from, right? Is it in the house, or is it in the customer side, or is it in our side of the service line? So there's a whole lot that's going to be said in the coming months about lead. We know that because we're involved with so many organizations nationwide, including the United States Water Alliance, which is a very progressive group that, has even said that there's some of the standards that are being put on us in Pennsylvania probably really aren't good. So we're on top of it. We're going to take the next 3 years. That's what you have. You have 3 years to finish your inventory. But the good part is with us being part of GLOW, it's not a take your time type of thing. It's like a boom, 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 boom. What's next? What's next? You have a weekly meeting and it never ends. So for lead, we're in great shape. There'll be a whole lot of community outreach that'll go on. We're going to try, but I'm just being honest. We've already done some our Facebook, our website. We know we don't get nothing. We get nothing. When I say nothing, we get nothing. So I don't know, flying an airplane over and dropping stuff, airdrops of information. I don't know. So we're good. Yep.
Thanks, Bill. So Shelley mentioned she needs to know when her house was built before she can respond. Is she referencing a survey that you want residents of Reading to do?
Yes, there was a survey that was sent to everybody, and
Okay.
and of course, I will tell you when you're based on this rule, what you're trying to find out, the date of your house being built is not definitive. Now we know that post 76 or something, I forget what year it is, lead was not supposed to be used. So you can pretty much, if you want to, assume that. But the rest of your house, you don't know. What fixtures do you have in? And you can go to Home Depot right now and get fixtures that still have lead in them. It's the truth. They have very small, low levels, but they're still being made and put out there. So it's one of those things where the best way to say it is it was not presented well to the public. And you asked 26,000 people in just a couple of state area here, to each one of us to go out and send a message. The EPA message, go on the EPA website and read that, and you'll swear you're never going to drink another drop out of your spigot, which is nothing further from the truth. So
Stephen, did you have something to add?
Now, I just not really. My question on all this is, how do you feel about with the incoming administration and whether or not you're going to have support from them? Because as we all know, they're not exactly environmentally friendly.
Well, one of the things, and that's why I wanted to jump on this call. Okay, so just make it really clear from my position here is I can't allow politics to drive my decision making. Honestly, I never have. It didn't take a politician to tell me to say we're going to replace people's lead lines since I think for the last 7 years of the 8 years that I've been here. We've been doing that. And honestly, I'm just telling you up front, the politicians interfere with science and you make political moves or economic moves ahead of water science. I'm just telling you the end result, whether you want to hear it or not. The end result is Flint, Michigan. That's a fact. So science is going to prevail. Now, with that being said, the CDC with fluoride and other guys, there's so much information out there. good quality resources. I was so glad, Shelley, you sent out that thing that now they can read it. That's old news. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the standards have gotten lower, so they're even getting less amounts of fluoride. And the current model is the prediction is that we're going to go from 0.7 to 0.4. They expect to see it even lowered. So if eventually, when you get to 0.4, that's in most science with water, that's like non-detect almost. So you're going to have such a low level in there that they'll probably say, you're better off just not wasting your money. But I'll say this to you. I asked some people to send me a comment about this whole thing with the fluoride. And then one of my smartest guys who has been in the water business for 30 years sent it back, and he understands the policy, the who gets affected by it. And he said the saddest part of this bill is the noisemakers will always, in the United States, the noisemakers always get their way. So you're going to remove fluoride from the water. The poor people are going to end up being the ones suffering because they're the ones who benefit the most from it. And we're going to save, what, $75,000 a year in fluoride cost. It's dumb. It's bad policy. So what I say is there is a status here. And while I'm sitting in this seat, you're going to have to create a status change that I have to live with. And it's not going to come from the city. It's not going to come from on my board. It's going to be driven by EPA and DEP because, quite frankly, they have a lot more experience, a lot more experts. And I do believe that in the end, the scientists will win out over the administration. So that's bringing it all the way back to you. I do believe that. And look, I just believe this. I want to keep the politics out of Rawa's decision-making, and I will. It's just not happening. I don't care. I didn't care who was sitting there 4 years ago. I don't care who's sitting there in January. I don't care. You know, quite frankly, I find it humorous to look at, you just said, you know, and the presumption is that Trump's a conservative, and then he puts Kennedy in there who wants fluoride out of the water. It's going to be beautiful. I'd love to be on a fly on the wall in those discussions. You know, but the bottom line is I think we're better served if we listen to the experts like EPA and DEP. That's what I think.
Yeah, the policy committee is taking this up a little bit, Bill, because of the recent court decision. And that court decision has 90 pages of science in it. They had a meta study, and it does suggest there's justification to going down a little bit, possibly. But I think we should, wait and see what EPA does with some of these newer studies and crunch the numbers. And as you said, keep politics out of it. But I've been on TV before when I was deputy secretary saying, of course, we need fluoride in the water. And all the science I saw up until recently suggested that the health benefits far outweighed any possible costs. But we've got to look at all of the science, and EPA will, and then we'll have to, follow with their lead.
Well, and I implore you to do all that. I can tell you that I get all the reports from all the other 10 institutions that are saying the study's flawed. This is why. They lay it out very clearly, scientifically, and all that. So one of the things I'm telling you is that's one study, and quite frankly, that's one judge. And here's what I'm saying to you is, we have a judge who has no science background, none. He only knows what came in that courtroom, none. And he's going to make the decision? No, I'm telling you, our scientists are going to know it.
Yeah, if you have any reports that talk about that, Bill, that would be understandable by somebody who's not a PhD. I have a master's, but not a PhD. So
if you just go to the CDC and the ADA, the American Dental Association, go to their sites, and you'll see they already have massive comments all over their pages telling you scientifically why it's flawed.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
They used, and here's one of the reasons it's scientifically flawed, and doesn't, and maybe it's not scientifically flawed if you want to say they were applying 1.5 2 times what we apply right now. 2 times with it, okay? Now, look, it's for those non-water experts here. You all get chlorine in your water. If I hand you a glass of water, you'll drink it. If I hand you a glass of bleach, will you drink it? That's what you're talking about here. You're really talking about those are that dramatically different. So look, you got to compare an apple to an apple, not an orange. And that's why I'm telling you that Rawa's position is we're not going to get political about it. We're not doing that. And look, they can have and Kathy, you know this, for every side of a coin, there's an argument to be made. Quite frankly, no disrespect to the lawyers, none. That's the way the laws are written, so that we can keep business going and defend it. For every side of the conservative side, there's a liberal side and all those kind of things. We're not bringing them, I'm just forewarned as far as Rawa is concerned. We're not going to, and I know that I'm not alone across the nation, because under the United States Water Alliance, I'm on calls with 60, 70 people from California to Washington, from Texas to North Dakota. It's the truth. And we belong to the Delaware River cohort, which is Trenton, Camden, Philly, us, Allentown, so we all know what's going on out there. And I am not, as an executive director, I don't believe, and everybody would probably love me to make a decision which way I stand. I'm not. I'm going to do, you know what? Do you want me to decide? Do they want me to decide how much permanganate to put in the water, Kathy? Do they want me to all the other chemicals? No. So let's not do this. Let's not do it. But also this, I would just say to those folks that think, oh no, it just has to come out because this study says so. Just remember, when it doesn't work, when you're wrong, and the kids start having, over the next 10 years, you start having dental issues, they can be really, really as bad as anything. They can be. And that's what the doctors are going to tell you. And look, for those that don't know it, I'm telling you right now, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of emotion that gets into these things.
Yes, there is.
And I'm not doing that. I don't have any emotion about it. It's a matter of, like, I got direction here to follow the regulations, right? That's what Bill gets charged with, to do the best we can. And I have input, and we do have input, guys. We do, seriously. We have input into these rules. It's not, I think, Kathy, wouldn't you agree? The king is not going to say, take fluoride out of the water and all the fluoride's going to come out of the water. It's just doesn't work like that, guys.
No, I have confidence that, EPA is going to have to, and they're going to have to move faster than they have on other things, which is good, because we're going to every community is going to hear from everybody. People panicking, people say, see, I always knew it was bad, and people saying, no, we really need it. It's eliminated dental decay and resulting infections and jaw problems and blood infections and all kinds of things that come from that. I mean, that's how George Washington died, because he didn't have fluoride in his water. But
As
I have a daughter-in-law that works
yeah.
in the emergency room as a nurse. And I asked her, I said, seriously, like, how often do you see people come in because they have a dental problem? She said, every night. She said, believe me, because they're desperate and they got pain. You know what I mean? And some of that stuff is deadly. It is.
As we approach 12:30, I just want to make note of the time, because I know we have a lot of other stuff to go through. But thank you, Bill, for coming and for giving updates.
Fluoride. And the last thing I'll just touch on is, for those that know, we're trying to get work done on the dam to protect all the property downstream. I can tell you that it's been a 2.5 year process, but we got heavy indications that the engineering is going to be about $2.3 million over the next 2 years. We are 99.9% sure that they're going to give us 65% grant for that. And then, Rawa is going to have to put up about $400,000 a year over the next 2 years for the engineering. unless we get other grants, which we'll apply for. We got lucky. We happened to get the 65% out of leftover FEMA money that was put there by the state. The state put us on as a sub-recipient because they don't want to pay for it either. And I told them I'm not doing it unless I get money because, you know, that's just ridiculous. How are we going to pay for that? So they're the three big things that we have. And of course, the drought. We'll spend 2 minutes with the drought. Yep. Sum it up. We need the 15% reduction, or we keep losing water at the lake, and eventually we got really, really bad issues. It's that simple. And I want you to know that we've met with our top customers. We are just this week seeing an actual reduction. I would say a fair number. We've seen about an 8 or 9% reduction. We need 15 just to get us to the in and out of the drought. You know what I'm saying? We're getting 13 million in and we're putting 13 out, and you know, those kind of things. But the drought is real. And I would encourage this group here to go look at Lake Onaloni. Go look at it, and you know, you can see it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing for people is that a couple rains like we've had don't make a dent. We've got to have lots more rain before people. I can remember being doing a drought declaration and doing the press release and the amounts and having it pouring down rain. Of course, when you make the announcement and people laugh and make jokes about government, but the fact was we only had enough water for for a month if we actually had no more rain. So yeah, so people need to understand it takes a while to fill it back up.
Yeah, I was raking this weekend and grass is just coming out in chunks because it's all dead, and that's after all that rain. So my neighbor's asking me, "Oh, can I start washing my car again yet?"
No,
it just got rained on. You don't even need to wash it. Just relax.
The good news is we just had a meeting yesterday with both DRBC, Delaware River Basin Commission, who controls all the water, and the DEP. Good news, bad news. I'm not proud of this, but we are ground zero. Lake Onaloni and the Reading areas is ground zero of the 2-county drought. Good news, that's bad news in my book. The good news is because we're ground zero, they are looking for multiple ways that I can limit my required discharges from the lake.
Oh, good.
So right now, folks don't probably understand it, that we have to release water from the dam. It runs down the Maiden Creek into the Schuylkill, down to the Schuylkill where the Delaware meets, because the salt line from the ocean creeps up the Delaware River. And Philadelphia gets like one of their plants is right near there. So it's encroached up. That has encroached up about halfway to where they would have to shut down. So here's the funny part about that is, we laugh about it because, okay, I have to keep releasing water, but I also have to put the citizens of Reading first, right? And talk about following the rules. At some point in time, if it got so drastic, would I just shut it and say, I don't care what you want downstream. I got to get Reading to survive. And they're going to try and save the whole city of Philadelphia. My little bit contribution might save West Philly. I'd rather save Reading, to be honest with you. But we're months away from that, to be honest with you. But if we don't take care of the problem now, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And we're trying actively. So we're in our plan. Kathy understands that. We've activated our plan. Interesting enough, Kathy, you'll understand this, is we can't enforce anything. We're in our plan. We're telling our customers cut 15% and it's mandatory. We can't do anything to enforce that until the governor declares an emergency in this county. So Senator Schwenk and I and others, we are, actively telling the governor, look, I need the teeth. I need teeth to make people back off. Like I said, I'm not getting 15%. I'm getting about 9 on the high end, a 9 maybe. I need the rest of it, or else every day you lose. So
I'd love to see enforcement of that, but I worry about it myself because I've just always been a little obsessed with water conservation. I can't see how I could reduce another even 1%. But I'm a special case in that case, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably are, Jim.
Yeah.
We've asked.
But I think we could be pushing the rain barrel thing maybe more and trying to inform people more about all the great things you can do if you just hold on to some of your rain that falls off your roof, but then that doesn't go into the watershed. So the catch-22.
That's right. And then let's we got Scott on the phone. Let's implement the MS4 tax while we're at it, right?
That would be nice.
That'd be nice if you could put it all in bottles, so when we need it, we can, use it, right? So it's complicated. We live in the. I can tell you, in my time at the authority, this is the most difficult time, and I'll say why it's difficult is we've had many catastrophes in the last 8 or 9 years, and we've been emergencies pushed up against it. We really have, but I always felt in control because it's something we can fix. One way or another, as long as it's in my control, we can fix it. We just got to get the right people, the right tools, the right place. You can fix it. This drought, I can't fix it. So look, if you believe in the power of prayer, add, hey, we need some clouds and some rain over Lake Onalani. And if you know an Indian that do a rain dance, let me know. We'll fly him in. And anything at this point at all, seriously, it's not, if it doesn't get better, it's going to get worse. If it gets worse, it's going to get worse. So anything you can do to conserve. Look, have fun, shower together.
There you go.
Thanks for coming and providing all those updates. And I really hope it does rain some more. It is nice to get rain. It was raining this morning. So hopefully that trend continues. And thanks for all the work you do at Rawa, Bill.
If we keep getting a little rain, we're avoiding a catastrophe. We're not recovering, but we're avoiding getting worse. And like Kathy said, that's probably the first step of recovery. So,
yeah.
And I'm here if anybody needs me, reach out for me. Be glad to give you any information you want. We're open.
Thanks, Bill. I was going to ask that. Yeah, I think we need to continue down our agenda, but thanks so much for being available to us for sure. And feel free to come to any of our meetings. We like having you here.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, so if we want to go to Bethany.
Yeah, so hi everybody. I have Jermel and Louisa behind me. I'm also here with Bill. We were doing kind of an introduction to Public Works and the Climate Action Plan training for both of them. Louisa is our new fellow from Barra Alegria. She's originally from the Dominican Republic and has a background in journalism, and she is primarily Spanish speaking. So we also have Tanya Melendez, who has generously offered to help do interpretation for us, and we are compensating her time as a community member who's going to be willing to do this. Quick update, I just spent last week with Pennsylvania Municipal League sustainability meetings. Little more apprehensive compared to years past, as we're going to try to figure out, how things are going to, changes in the federal administration are going to affect us, particularly with regulations and funding. However, DEP was there, and the governor's office and especially DEP, like we are in on climate action and we are in on energy efficiency, and those programs are going to continue as we go. So that was great news to hear. Like we're going to keep going on what we've been working on as well. Upcoming events. Saturday we had this previous Saturday we had the holiday party or holiday parade. Thanks to those who came out and was in the parade with us. And then tonight is the Christmas tree lighting at 6 p.m. at 5th and Penn. It's just a nice little get together for some positivity. And then dates coming up. I am going to be sending out an email for those who would like to do a winter version of Rawa tour, because we have some new members. We're going to go sooner rather than later, up to the dam and then to the drinking water plant and then also to wastewater. We're also looking to set up a tour of
How's it working now?
recycling in
Yeah,
January.
they're just rubbing a little bit back here, so I'll just have to move the one hinge
Sorry,
out.
Anne, you're unmuted. Can you mute yourself?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So look out for those opportunities to take a tour, field trips. We are planning a Martin Luther King Day of Service, which will be on Monday, January 20th, at 10 o'clock. We are Keep Writing Beautiful and Weedock Tadwin Center for Native Knowledge is figuring out the location, but an invite through the EAC will go out for whomever would like to do some hands for helping that day. And then pretty much we are doing inside work, getting ready to do some recording of how stuff works around the city, now that we've got Jermel and Louisa on board. And then as we start planning for spring and summer events again, but with the exception of Martin Luther King Day of Service, at this point, we're inside.
Nice, Bethany. Thanks for all those updates.
Okay. Yep.
And good. You don't have a major break, but at least you have a little bit of time to rest and get things done on the computer. And that's cool to know about
Yeah.
the MLK. Thank you. Scott, do you have updates?
Hello, everybody. Yes, we got a couple things going on. So along with this drought, I didn't want to jump because I know Bill Murray was talking about it, but he said at 9%. That's good to know for us. More on the sanitary side, but we're getting a lot of backups. So even with the water, everybody saving water and conserving, it's actually a lot harder for our systems to actually function and flow. So we actually have to use more water to keep them clean and keep them open at this point. On the stormwater side, I mean, at least a lot of trash isn't going out to the river right now. So we're able to try to get ahead with cleaning up a lot of the storm inlets. And I've got a crew out almost every day cleaning up that side. So other than that, I mean, I know we've got our rain barrel workshop that we have to work on. I don't have any updates on that. That's probably later on in the agenda. I forgot to look. But just more stuff that we have to get done. We've been kind of caught up here just with everything going on. We're down one of our big trucks. And that doesn't help anything. So that's where we are from the sewer side.
Thanks for that update, Scott. Sorry that the drought is causing you problems. Hopefully it kind of levels out soon and we're not stuck in this spot. Are there any other updates, Bethany and Scott, before we move on? Okay, we can head into old business then. The first thing is signage. I know that I was supposed to update the Excel spreadsheet, but Kathy, Bethany, and I did meet and we went through and kind of were deciding on who we would reach out to about our GSI signs, different property owners. I don't know if there's any other movement while I was away. But there is a GSI meeting that's going to be on December 2nd, Monday. Bethany and Kathy, if you cannot make that and we need to reschedule, let me know. But Shelley has confirmed that date. It's just our normal cadence.
Yeah.
And she'll be sending it.
Yeah, I'm going to be driving to Denver from the 1st to the 9th.
Maybe we can find another date then that works with us. I want you to be able to be there for sure so we can move this project forward.
Yeah, and I guess I'd share with people what we're trying to do is both decide where physical signs will go, both on public property that has green infrastructure and on private property, a few of the private properties that have green infrastructure, like the engineered tree trenches at Memos, who've been willing and eager to have signage to explain to people the virtue of what they did in their parking lot reconstruction, where they actually have infiltration beds and they're very nice. The trees are doing great. But so physical signage for some selected, so there's at least one of each kind of project type of green infrastructure out there that people can go and see. And then, of course, we want to put on the map those plus others that we know about. And we need to have pictures and that'll usually give us the coordinates to put that on the map. So if anybody has pictures of any of the green infrastructure in the city that's on the list, maybe we can send the list out again. Again, the revised list we made, perhaps we could send it
Yeah,
out to
I could
everybody.
send that.
Because if we could even if it's not a great picture, it'll give us at least the location. Usually we can go in and if it's digital, electronic picture taken with a phone, it'll give us that location so we can start, filling out a map so that we'll have a layer that people can go to and say green infrastructure in the city of Reading and eventually hopefully Berks County, but for our work, the city of Reading. And then people can do virtual tours or actually go out and take a look at the ones that have signage. So we've got the signage all, just so all of you know, we have the signage all, it's the graphics have all been made, the text is all there, they're all ready to go and be signs. And Bethany has lined up somebody that can do them, right? Actually make the signs. And so all we need to do, what we've done at the last meeting that we got together, the three of us, was to identify the first 3 or 4 places that should get the signs. And then we'll make them and then try and also get out to any place we don't have a picture of and get a picture. But the pictures won't be great right now, but if they even show, like if they show a depression with plants in it, that's fine, for now, and we can put better pictures on later, but we want to fill out that that map space.
Right, the locations, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we'll definitely reschedule that meeting and send out the updated list and continue moving forward with that. The next item, yeah, Scott?
I have one thing to add to that. I'm sorry. You might hear some road noise. So I was at a meeting with Ashley Showers from Berks County, and she gave a presentation. It was a Schuylkill Action Network meeting, and she gave a presentation of all the initiatives that the county wanted to take as far as environmental issues are concerned. And one of them is they want to initiate a map with green infrastructure. And I said, well, EAC is doing that in Reading. So it's something we should consider pairing up with the county on.
Yeah, we've had conversations with them in the past and told them, we thought probably we would have had ours done by 5 years ago, but at least we're getting there and we will have it done soon. So she's aware that we were doing it and thought it was a great idea. So I'm excited that it's moving to the top of closer to the top of the county's list. That's great.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
one of their priorities, I believe. I don't
Great.
know. So yeah.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks for that update.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good to make sure we have our points on their map at least. Scott, you have something to add?
So I also have I actually have 4 signs that I need to put up somewhere. They're actually for the Wyomissing Creek watershed. Wyomissing Creek, I guess, got a grant. The problem is I'm having problems finding locations that are actually the cities because, as you know, most of that area is privately owned. The big park down there off of Old Wyomissing Road, that's actually owned by West Reading. So West Reading also has their 4 signs to post, which I'm not sure where they're posting, but I believe they're putting them there, or at least 1 or 2 there. So I'm also looking for some areas in the Wyomissing Creek watershed. I think they're locked up.
What's the most, Scott, can you suggest what watershed map would be the easiest for us to look at that actually has the streets and stuff on it so that you can see where it is?
It's just the parcel map gets you pretty close, but that doesn't really show you the watershed.
Yeah.
And not a lot of the city of Reading is actually in the Wyomissing Creek watershed.
I know that.
We've got a very small section of it.
but how do we know what the section is?
Yeah, I'm
Basically,
starting to think that Sarah's house might be a great location.
it's
know,
a
like,
little big for right out in front of
but-
Sarah's though. These are pretty
Could
big
you-
signs, so.
Maybe Sarah,
you
we
put
can
the-
ask you to look for a
There-
map for us that you could share that would show
Yeah,
us.
there's a triangle of grass on Parkside Drive South and like Evergreen Road. You know what I'm talking about, Scott? People make all the wrong turns around that little triangle of grass.
The triangle credits.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if that could be a good spot. I know one of those YO signs is on, what is that? Why Missing Boulevard, and it's like
Is
near
that
the
is that
creek.
in West Reading then?
I feel like this sign might be in Reading, but I'm not sure. Evergreen Road and Parkside
Evergreen
Drive
might be
South
outside the city.
themselves.
Gonna be on the other side of Museum Road.
Yeah, that might be
What's
outside.
up,
David, do you know?
David? Yeah.
I don't know an answer to the question that's being posed right now, but one area we tend to think of with where Why Missing Watershed meets Reading is right along the Schuylkill River Trail.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Where it junctions in there, close to where the relatively new solar power lighting is and so forth. But I mean, that would be a place for at least one of those signs.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and the district funded that effort, or at least is funding part of it.
Mhm.
And but I didn't realize there was a separation between some of them going to West Reading and then some of them at Reading. But certainly the Schuylkill River Trail will give us some high profile, and it's close enough to the boundary of the Why Missing Watershed, if not in it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they're doing that. Is something I think had made an impression on me, seeing the Chesapeake Bay watershed signs on the turnpike. As a teenager, they made an impression on me. That's how long ago they were put up.
Yep.
So I feel like it's something that really draws attention to something that you wouldn't normally think of if you're not in our world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so happy they're doing that. And is there a way we can put something closer to you said the triangle, something to a major roadway where people could see them? I don't know how big the signs are.
Is it just a white one that says
No,
like
these are
this?
approximately 2 feet by 3 feet. They're pretty big. They have a lot of information on them. Just explaining the Why Missing Watershed. And
Double post.
2 posts. Yeah, there's 2 posts to actually hold them up. So it's just a matter of finding some good areas.
It sounds like it's something you could maybe see from a major road. I don't know what PennDOT's rules are as far as that's concerned and how much grief that would cause. But
Lots of grief. Lots,
Yeah.
lots of
It
grief.
can't be a state road. Okay, well, Scott, thanks for raising that. I think everybody can brainstorm and look at maps. I think David had a really good idea, and that should definitely be put on the list. That's really cool. Yeah, it'll be exciting to see those. And if you have a picture and want to show us it, I think that could be cool too through email.
So send ideas to Scott, right?
Yeah, send
Okay.
ideas over to Scott, please. Next we have our annual report. I guess
Yes,
that'll be
so
in June.
so I actually worked on it half a day this week, and I thought I was going to get done and say, I'm done. Yeah, I finally did last year's report. But I'm having 15 people coming for Thanksgiving and things happened. And so it's drafted in my note form, but I have to type it up type about half of it yet. But I really do think I'm going to have time on Friday to finish. So Shelley, I mean, you may not, whether you're there, I'm probably going to try and send it to you Friday, and then it'll need your usual making it look like a report actually, instead of a big long couple paragraphs, which is the way I write.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not
then
here
you can-
Friday, but I'll get it on Monday morning.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't be there Friday. But I mean, in the past, we've never had people review it before it went out. But I'll just send it to everybody when I send it to Shelley. And if anybody sees something terrible or thinks there's something major I left out, I made it longer than usual because because we have the new council and they don't know what we've been up to particularly. Not that I think they'll all read it, but I just really, we could have it on record and we can refer to it if we get a meeting with them to update them this year. And then
Okay,
I think
thanks,
this
Kathy.
year is the
That
year,
sounds good.
Sarah, that you would be doing yours in person.
Right.
So then it
is
has to be
25.
really short again.
Okay. Okay. No worries. Yeah, send that out when you have it.
Okay.
The Berks County EAC mixer, David.
Yeah, so by way of an update, last week, I guess it was, Jim Cole and I, Bethany and Shelley met with Kim Murphy over at Berks Nature. Andy Fetterman and Tammy Shimp joined Kim for the meeting. And the EAC mixer, we've been talking about for a while, has now morphed into two separate independent meetings that Berks Nature is going to facilitate for us. One on shade trees and revising the city's ordinance, and the second one on the single-use plastics ban. From Berks Nature's perspective, each of these topics really warrants a separate dedicated meeting. The first one for shade tree has actually already been scheduled. It's the next, I guess, quarterly municipal meeting that Berks Nature hosts every quarter. That's going to be on February the 20th. That'll be a luncheon meeting over at Berks Nature. And the purpose of this exercise is for Berks Nature to facilitate a dialogue. They understand what we need to do. Our ordinance is so old, it's geared towards, for the most part, imposing responsibility on homeowners for shade tree maintenance. And, whereas that was a working model back in the 1950s when most properties were single family owned, now we have so much, rental housing stock in the city with absentee landlords that, the trees simply are not getting maintained. So we really need to move more towards a model that imposes responsibility on the city, recognizing that there's a financial issue with that, and we need to fund that somehow. There are other municipalities that have wrestled with this issue. DCNR is willing to be a partner in that conversation, but we really need an entity like Berks Nature to facilitate that dialogue, and they're willing to take that on because it has a county-wide component to it. Berks Nature is already helping the city with grant applications for new trees to plant. So, Kim really appreciated the opportunity to be brought into that discussion. And we decided to do that one first, only because that one is going to take the longest to implement. We think the single-use plastics ban is going to get a little bit quicker traction. But they're willing to facilitate that dialogue as well. And obviously, we're already talking to some community groups about this issue. We know that West Reading wants to partner with us, for such a ban. But again, Berks Nature sees some real benefit in expanding that conversation into a more county-wide conversation. So they are going to help us with that. So that's a long way of saying the mixer that we've been talking about in its more traditional form, where all the EACs get together for dinner over at Berks Nature, that's not going to happen in the short term. And they actually have some staffing issues at Berks Nature right now that kind of complicates things a little bit without going into a lot of detail. That's where we are on those two issues. So, stay tuned. We're certainly having internal conversations to make sure that we're adequately prepared for those meetings, and we will keep everyone posted.
Thanks, David. That's really great to hear. I think that's really exciting about the shade trees. It sounds like there's a lot of support around it, and that'll be really good for the city. Thanks for working on that, and everybody else who attended that meeting with Berks Nature. Let's keep it moving. We're at 1 o'clock now. I definitely have a hard stop at 1:30. Works Rain Barrel Workshop. I don't think you had any update, right, Scott? You said that you're kind of working on that and hopefully something in the spring.
No, I don't have any updates at this time.
Okay. The 2025 budget request, it's literally says no update, but just check in, Shelley. Anything?
Not yet. Council is scheduled to do its final 2 reviews on the 2nd and the 9th, with the hope that they will pass the 25 budget on December 9th. The charter gives them a deadline of December 15th. So if it's not done on the 9th, they will need to hold a special meeting. So right now they are still under review.
Okay.
Thank you. The beekeeping zoning amendment. David?
Yeah. So at our last EAC meeting, we officially approved the ordinance, the draft ordinance in its existing form. It has now been forwarded to the Planning Commission for the city and for the county to review. Jim Cole and I actually participated in, I guess it was last week's planning committee meeting to introduce the ordinance and to answer some questions about it. They are going to be reviewing it, but we've done what we need to do now as an EAC. We've completed our work, we've passed it on, and it's now in the review process.
Great. Awesome. That's a big thing to celebrate. Congratulations.
Yes.
It's moving.
What was that
Next, we have
ordinance?
Beekeeping. For beekeepers.
In the city of Reading.
Yeah, I took a look at that yesterday. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you everybody who worked on that. The single-use plastics work group. So it's just kind of been merged into that.
Yep. Talked about that. Nothing else to add.
Okay, cool. And then the use of e-bikes in Reading, Jim?
I don't think that there's been, I've spoken to my neighbor who's kind of big in that community, and he said that he knows that he would be interested in joining a conversation about that. And he has a few people off the top of his head who would also be interested in some sort of good faith, like roundtable type discussion. So
Okay.
I think that it would just be a matter of reaching out to deciding who else we would want to have involved and reaching out to them, trying to get
Cool.
something
Maybe
started.
that's something Chris.
Okay. What, I'm not sure I understand what the subject matter is. Jim. What,
Electric
e-lights?
bicycles?
Oh, e-bikes. I thought you said e-lights.
Oh,
I'm probably getting a
electric
hearing
bikes
aid,
and
so I apologize.
yeah.
No, that's
I'm gonna
fine.
hurry up and get
because
it.
some of those, it is important because some of those don't accelerate on cue. I actually bought an old style battery for my older electric bike because it has better acceleration at an intersection, whereas my new electric bike does have a lot of pep in it because it's one of the newer type of batteries, but it doesn't kick in until I push the pedal pretty hard.
Mhm.
So the different types could be, like hazardous or not so hazardous depending on, how they operate. And the old style battery, it um, it kicks up and delodges when I go over a bump. But I haven't had trouble with that so far. It's just that, you know, depending on what kind you have, it's good to
Talk to
discuss
Chris.
about everything. Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
that. I think,
So-
if you want to talk with Jim, that might be good if you're doing the
And
walk
then
bike
range-
works or if you have
range
other
is-
people.
Yeah, range is also another thing. Like the lithium ion kind, it gives more power, but it also might have shorter range. What is somebody going to do, say, if they're stranded pretty far from where they live and run out of battery?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because
Charging
I would
stations.
hope that one of the things the group could look at would be the extent to which this people with e-bikes could be could get more organized and be a voice for bike lanes
Mhm.
and safety protection, which will make people in cars happier about the e-bikes and also make the travel by e-bike safer.
Yeah, I've been bugging the planning commission about trying to fix up the 9th and Washington intersection, possibly with a longer wait for the left turn and possibly a bike box and a bike lane and also a bus berth and a mid-block crossing from the senior center to the other side because the bus stop is on that other side.
Right.
Yeah, just
So
about.
yeah,
think-
if that conversation could, could get more people involved in that conversation, that'd be wonderful, I think, and very helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
one of
those
the
are
things I
important
was trying to do is get in with the town halls that are already being held by the different city council members. And so I already talked to mine, who is Jamie Baez, but I haven't talked to the other ones yet. But I don't have their emails.
Jim and Ann, I think you were both trying to say something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
go ahead,
oh,
Ann.
okay, thanks. So I was just recently, I think it was last week, at a meeting with American Society of Civil Engineers. There was a presentation down in Philadelphia. There was a presentation given on the bike ped initiatives, and the folks that do, they actually have a multimodal department.
Act 89? Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, in the city of Philadelphia, I don't know what act.
Oh.
It's a department in the city of Philadelphia, and
Yeah, they're so
those
far ahead of
folks,
us on that.
yeah, those folks gave a presentation, and one of the big issues was both e-bikes and I brought up the question of safe intersection and standards, and there apparently there's some really good standards in one state. I want to say Ohio, but I don't know what state, where they've set up good standards to go by for complete streets and multimodal and safe intersections and electric bikes and all of that. So it's nice to have a go-to place for good standards, like engineering standards for design. And I will find out more information on that. I have their emails, and I had planned on reaching out to them and getting more information on good standards and prototype, like having sort of a map to go by, like when other cities are, like Reading is implementing it, because it's like tried and true methods.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ann.
definitely.
Yeah, so I
Especially
will,
that we have a bike plan too. I mean,
right.
wish we could get the county bike plan on board eventually too. And I
Yeah.
was going to go to that conference myself, but I just couldn't afford it. Glad you went.
Yeah. So it wasn't a conference, it's just a dinner meeting at
I thought
yeah.
you were talking about AASTHO.
No. It's just they have like quarterly meetings down there, and this one was of
wow.
interest to me that because it was like focused on bike and ped, and so it was really really good, and I found out information on where things are happening in a good way, and so I'll pass that information on once I get it from the folks in Philadelphia.
Thanks, Ann. That would be really
Thank
great.
you
I
so
think
much.
Jim,
Yeah.
and then once you have your comment, Jim, will continue moving on.
Yeah, sure. I just want to say that the pedestrian movement factor of this, obviously an important facet, but I just wanted to remind everybody that my biggest concern is actually not just e-bikes, also regular dirt bikes, ATVs. How does the city accommodate the fact that this is becoming a major part of young people's culture, obviously here? So
yeah, my friend Dawood wants to get like a dirt bike stadium. Albright was going to do a velodrome, but fell through. Coatesville's getting it instead. Might be the same people who was going to design the Reading one. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, that's a
Jim.
really interesting note, because that would be a big aim, would be someplace that the recreation can be done legally without getting your things taken by the police and crushed in a garbage compactor for some horrible reason. And also the factor of the movement around the city of, if you're someone who has a recreational vehicle, you don't necessarily have a truck and a trailer. How do you get to that spot?
Yeah.
Maybe paths that e-bikes and motorcycles, things that are a little faster than a bicycle, are able to travel.
Well,
Is it an
actually,
integration into a traffic situation? But I just wanted to make sure that we're remembering, because the e-bike and the bicycle, and that's all stuff that we need to improve on. And I do think that with the advent of the e-bikes becoming more popular, it will make traveling not in cars a lot more popular, because people who weren't really keen on getting all sweaty riding a bicycle across town will be more apt to choose that option, I think. But the larger thing for me is the recreational part, and how, if you have an e-bike or a bicycle, you're probably zipping around unfazed by the police right now.
Yeah.
Not the case if you have an ATV or a dirt bike. So, but that's all. Just wanted to.
Thank you, Chris. Sorry, Chris, if you want to speak more, I think you and Jim can talk offline.
Oh, okay. How would I do that?
We just have to keep moving through our agenda.
Well,
Yeah,
if
sure,
if
Chris.
you
I'll
if
put
you
my
could send me
personal
the
email in
email.
the,
Okay.
yeah, I'll put my personal email in the chat, Chris, because I'm interested to hear more about what you were saying. So,
Yeah.
okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you, Jim. That's a really important note to make for sure. That it's not just e-bikes, it's other motorized bicycle situations. The new business is our meeting schedule, 2025. Shelley?
Yeah, so I want to just confirm with everyone that we're keeping to the same schedule. That will be the fourth Tuesday of the month at noon via Zoom, except for July, August, and December. I need to advertise 2025.
Okay with me.
Do you need a
Yeah.
motion?
No, I don't think so. I think I just need everybody's heads to nod that I know I can keep everything the same. Okay, very good.
I'm good with
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for working on that, Shelley. We have almost 15 minutes. The Supreme Court case on fluoride in drinking water. I feel like we kind of talked about this with Bill Murray. Does anybody have anything to add?
Real quick. So there was this California case that came out of California, which called into question the existing science standards for fluoride in water nationwide and directed EPA to conduct a further investigation into all of this. The case came to the attention of council. Council kicked it to the EAC, asking for our assessment, recognizing that we provided an opinion to council on this very issue probably 10 years ago. Kathy and I talked about this briefly last week, and our recommendation is, although we probably want to convene a stakeholder group just like we did 10 years ago, I think ultimately our recommendation is going to be, as Kathy mentioned in response to what Bill had to say, relying upon what the results of their follow-up study are going to be. That's where the experts are. I mean, they're the ones that have the money to invest in an appropriate review. So I think we just bide our time until then, although I know there are some stakeholders who kind of want to be heard about this. So Shelley is attempting to identify who those stakeholders were 10 years ago. We will probably sometime after the first of the year convene a follow-up meeting just to gauge the temperature within the city in light of this ruling, and then we'll sit back and wait to see what EPA does.
It probably was 10 years ago, since that was when the government already did this study in 2015 and reduced their recommended levels by 40%. Everybody followed up. I feel like such a token issue almost that is being raised. You know what I mean? It's like it was just 10 years ago examined. It's not like we know more about fluoride than we knew 10 years ago. And also about 2 million Americans live in places where the natural fluoridation level in their water without the town adding any is above the safe level. So really, it seems like that should be a bigger concern. It just kind of surprises me. It's like a boogeyman almost, it feels like,
Yeah, it is. Although in the past, people thought it was going to cause cancer and other toxic kinds of things, more physiological things. And the more recent work, the current drumbeat now is that it's like lead reduces IQ, especially in boys. So that's brought a whole nother kind of group to the fore. So yeah, we've been fighting about it. It was an issue in the 80s when I wrote the Safe Drinking Water regs, the first and the law for Pennsylvania in 84. It was an issue 10 years later. It was an issue 10 years later. And every time it gets, people are convinced they're being poisoned, but we have to make sure they're not. We have to keep looking at the science and see whether there's any indication that the levels are too high. And some of the issues like that now there's fluoride toothpaste, and do people know, do people add it up, and so forth. So anyway, we want to continue to monitor it. The Board of Health came out with its opinion and said, we think fluoride's essential and that the level's fine. So there's that. But they've been very much on that side. So anyway, like David said, we think we ought to keep our ears open and be listening, and also try and get some stakeholders together and see what the level of concern is and whether we need to do any outreach or education or do anything formal.
Yeah, maybe education is the main.
Is there any kind of clamoring within Reading by Reading water users to look at this? I mean, is there anything locally that's generating this concern, or is it?
I don't know a single person besides myself that drinks out of the tap in Reading,
What?
which I think is crazy.
I
think it's crazy. We have great water here. I tell people that all the time.
I have no problems with drinking the Reading tap water. So
my neighbors
we only drink tap water.
Yeah,
my neighbors
Jim
drink the
makes a
bottled
good
water,
point,
then
though.
they come to my house and ask me,
Yeah, I
can
think
we have
there
some of your
is.
water?
Shelley probably knows. I'm pretty sure there have been an uprising.
Okay, Shelley?
Uprising?
Yes.
It actually wasn't her bill, but I believe it was someone who's associated with her. It was brought to council during public comment.
Oh, okay.
Which is how it got bumped to the Board of Health and the EAC for its additional now updated review.
Right.
Okay,
And
so there
everybody
was-
on this call is aware of the water quality in Reading. I'm talking the average regular person is paranoid. They're drinking out of plastic bottles with a bunch of plastic in them so that they can get 9 pH water.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to tell them their kids come over to my house and they're like, can we get some of your water? Like, I'm like, it's the same water that's at your house. It's not magic water.
Okay.
Maybe we should market it as magic water.
Right. Maybe we should put something in it that makes it magic water and then people will drink it.
Yeah.
I would hope that we would have some pushback if there is a severe reduction in, the fluoride content, because I mean, let's face it. I mean, when you look around the city of Reading, and I'm being anecdotal here, people don't take care of their teeth. So if that's a concern, that's going to affect, and we got people going to the emergency room, then the dental problems are a whole other issue. And, and if that's going to reduce it, we need to push back, because it's going to really get bad then, the health issues. But I guess that's, further down the line after the studies have been done, and 10 years from now we figure out that it was the cause of it. So
yeah, it's been adjusted before, and EPA may fine tune it. Maybe it can be adjusted down a little bit and still give you the dental benefits. It's big public health issue, and
are these the same people that are saying that the vaccinations are what cause autism, which has also been basically pushed aside through science, that they're not, as far as the educational level in boys?
There's a lot of overlap, but the fluoride thing holds a little more water, if you'll excuse the pun, because the effects are real over a certain amount, but it's just whereas that amount exists, the recommendation is already below a third of that amount. So
we have about 10 minutes left, but I just wanted to note anything involving EPA, I will need to recuse myself. Anything you're writing to council. So I will do the form with Shelley, but just making everybody aware of that. Any decisions, any topics, etc. 10 minutes for project updates. First, we have our communications committee. So do you have any project updates?
Yeah, I'll be brief, but first thing I want to say is, I don't know if Bill Murray's still on. We did notice the email about the lead in our water lines. I think he said it was not ham-fisted, it wasn't handled well. Did freak us out. It was hard to tell if that was a letter directed at us specifically. I'm partly saying this for the other residents of the city. Turns out it was a generic email that went out to everyone. But I called and immediately got an answer. I don't know what system they have there in terms of property records, but an answer that our property was fine. So if you haven't responded to the email, But somewhere there's a record of our house. Now we have the place next door to us and they don't. But in that email is a very clear instructions on how to determine what your pipes are. And I haven't done it yet, but I think it's probably a educational process for any of us. In terms of the communications committee, as Bethany said, Louisa is now engaged through Badio, and we just had an all-morning training session, kind of ramping her up and all of us, and Jamel also, who in a sense is part of our communications committee, ex officio, I suppose, a little bit. So, we're starting to move that process along. Bethany and Louisa already went out yesterday, going to, I think you said bodegas, restaurants, and bars along Penn Street, avoiding drinks. But we are on December 9th at 2:00. There is going to be, it's a public meeting, although mostly by invitation. Listening session at Franklin's Restaurant. And we're targeting the invites to bodegas and small restaurants and businesses like that in the city to present primarily two things: the climate action plan and the concept of a plan for the single-use plastic bag ban. And it's going to be split between kind of a presentation, then the Q&A session and feedback, because part of the idea is to engage those businesses like Franklin's and the other ones around the community in the process of sorting out how do we move in that direction. So that's going to be, we think, 25 to 30 people, keeping it small by design.
Right. And the other big issue that was going to be included is the transition from gas to electric stoves and ovens.
Right, and that's sort of in the climate action plan part. The energy transition and how, and again, finding out from them what the challenges are, and we don't need to go into it, but Bethany said that their initial contact yesterday was positive, the response. The energy project, which is we're sitting in Public Works right now, Bethany and I are, is going to kick up. It's going to start really soon. But in terms of the communications committee, we're poised. We sent a letter to the editor, which got published, on Building Green, the program I host. I interviewed Bethany and two people from Schneider, and I'm ready to. I'm going to send the link to that to Shelley, and then hopefully she'll distribute it to everyone if you want to look at it. It's a good summation. The three of them do a good review of what the project involves, the scope, and kind of what's expected from it. But it is a big first step in that, not first, but maybe the first major leap in terms of the city's producing its energy from the sun rather than using fossil fuel. And there's some other stuff, but just in the interest of moving ahead, that's sort of the highlights of the communication committee.
Very awesome, Bill. Thank you so much.
I do want to add, the League of Women Voters invited Bill Murray and I to be part of their December show, and we're going to tape about what's happening with the drought and the water supply. We're going to tape December 3rd. It will air Thursday that night as an update, and we were thankful to be invited. And considering they wanted to bump their pre-planned December show to get the water issue to the front of people. So that will be something that we'll be able to share out as well.
Yeah, and so the one, sorry, Sarah, the one other thing I'll just say is that so now that Louise is engaged and we're starting the training process, we'll move along on developing presentation materials or a PowerPoint. We don't know what that's going to be, including some videos that we'll shoot in-house that'll go onto the website and elsewhere. But to start doing some more targeted outreach on the Sustainable Six. I mean, that whole range of issues.
Awesome.
That are part of that.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Welcome, Louisa. It's really exciting. David, the policy committee?
Nothing new to add. I've already given a complete report.
Amazing. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. Is there anything else pressing? I don't have any GSI updates that You heard that earlier. The next meeting is Tuesday, January 28th at noon via Zoom. Thank you, Shelley, for always keeping us on track and sending out all the minutes and agendas and links. Is there
I
anything
will
else
just
anybody
add,
needs? Say that again?
I'll just add real quickly on Exide. So several of us attended a municipal meeting on the Exide Superfund work. I guess 2 weeks ago. Last week there was a community meeting held, which I was at. And to make a long story short, EPA's the notification for the meeting didn't reach a critical mass of people. So the EPA is going to be rescheduling that meeting probably for sometime after the first of the year. This particular meeting was to discuss a community action, the formulation of a community action group for that work. And I indicated that the city is interested in having a member serve on that tag. And they said, great, happy to have someone. So just stay tuned there. They've engaged a contractor to perform their sampling. That's expected to start sometime next year and will take at least 1 year, maybe 2 years to complete. So we'll stay on top of it.
Thanks for that update. I'm just writing in the chat. I'm recognizing David's offer to do a tour at the Berks Ag Center for the stormwater management system. I think that'd be very cool, especially with our new friends, Louisa and Janelle.
Yeah, that's
great.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing that for a long time, and so I'm really glad we can now.
Yes.
And it gives everybody a chance to talk with David too, so.
That's
Just
so
to
true,
share-
yeah. Let's get a
just to
Berks County update.
Yeah, just to share, not the last person in his shoes, but the one before that, Kate, I just forgot her name.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kate Keppen.
Keppen, right. So she used to participate with us a lot. And when we did the original Rain Barrel workshop, it was really a collaboration between the County Conservation District and us. And we did the ordinance, and Scott helped with some of it, I think. And anyway, we got multiple partners, and the Conservation District was very, very helpful in a lot of it. So it would be really nice to be able to rebuild a relationship like that with the county, and because we're all trying to do the same things, and we get spread too thin, and we're doing duplicative things because we don't know somebody else is already doing it. So I'm really excited that we'll get a start with seeing their installations, and it includes a green roof that we've talked about but not done anything about too.
Great. Yeah, thanks for attending, David. Please continue to come when you can. We really appreciate you here.
Sarah, just one other
sure,
thing.
no worries.
One other quick thing.
Wait, let's get.
Well, the committee, one of the things that the communication committee is involved with, it goes back even to blanking on her name, our intern before. This was Drexel, but some of the editing was.
Yeah.
So there were 3 brochures that have just now been printed and ready that had to do. I think we talked about it: weatherization assistance, electric, and Inflation Reduction Act. What the programs are, what the subsidies available are, what heat pumps are. It's really a bunch of information in 3 brochures that just got finished. So they're available here. They're available at City Hall. I don't know if Bethany's going to send them out or whatever, but that's one of the things that we've been involved with.
Yeah, it's they are available through the CSC. Obviously, they're in my office as well. And we'll be rocking and rolling them as we go out and visit people.
Cool. Thank you. That's great. Awesome. Meeting adjourned. Write it on. Write it on. It's chilly. All right, I gotta go. But if everybody wants to continue to chat, feel free. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Alrighty.
All right, see you.